What's up, guys? It is Dave and Duncan here from Metal Epidemic, and we are both very, very excited to be joined by Clutch bassist Dan Mains. Dan, how are you doing, sir?
I am doing good, thank you. Aside from these technical difficulties with my computer, uh, I'm I feel like a caveman every time I sit down in front of this computer now. I had a computer that lasted me about 10 years, and I knew everything about it, and I loved it. And then, it died on me, and so I picked up a new one last year, and it's like I'm starting from scratch. I don't know what the heck's
Yeah.
going on.
Computer companies like to enhance your user experience. I don't know if you've come across that. So
Yeah, they also
everything's
like to make you feel like you're dumb.
yeah, like
And, you know, I don't need any help with that. Thanks, Apple.
Yeah, 100%.
But yeah, other
Um,
than that, I'm doing great. Thanks.
Excellent. Excellent. It's a pleasure to have you. So, firstly, well, congrats on the new album, Sunrise on Slaughter Beach.
Thank you.
We reviewed it. We both loved the album, and we mentioned on the review that Clutch, at this point in life in your career, Clutch are a band that you can just kind of always rely on. The consistency and the quality is there on every album. And that there are certain elements that we as fans, assume will be on a Clutch album, which this album had. But what I kind of love about Clutch is you guys never really make the same album twice. And this one in particular had even more kind of going on under the hood than we were expecting, which was a great surprise.
Hmm.
Was the kind of creative process for this album, was it different to a kind of normal Clutch album?
The process itself,
Yeah.
not really, it didn't really change that much. It hasn't changed much, to be
Yeah.
honest, since we first started playing together. Uh,
Hmm.
what we like to do is just get in a room together, and we all come up with our own ideas. And I've learned that it's best not to flesh out any ideas that I might come up with too much. Um, if I can leave it as minimalistic as possible when I show it to the other guys,
Mm.
then I feel like that's a real advantage because um, it's truly a group effort, and it's best to just kind of throw out these little nuggets of ideas
mhm.
to
Mm.
each other, and then even if it's like a riff that one of us will come up with, if we once we start playing it together, you know uh, almost immediately something about it changes. Whether it's the way John Paul plays drums to it,
Mm.
or if it's something that I wrote, if it's something that Tim does over top, or vice versa. And I think that's for the better of the song, really, because if I came in there with an idea from top to bottom and really tried to shove it down the other guy's throats, uh, first off, that wouldn't really be a Clutch song. uh, and it just doesn't serve the song that well. What we try to do is just it's it sounds kind of silly when I say it out loud, but I mean, we just have this system where uh, we know, if we're going to get together on a Tuesday, then everybody tries to have at least one idea
Mm.
throw out there into the air on Tuesday. And we have a studio that we put together, and John Paul is kind of the go-to uh, producer tech guy as far as recording the ideas down onto the computer. And we'll just, you know, kick an idea around for 15, 20 minutes and record it all
Mm-hmm.
and, move on to another idea.
Yeah.
We'll do that 3 or 4 times in the day. John Paul will mix it down to something that we can listen to. He sends it to us,
Yeah.
and we sit on it. And the next time we get together, if anybody has ideas on how to expand upon those ideas, then we do it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's usually the music coming together first. And the whole time Neil is listening to it and I guess thinking about lyrics in his head, but he doesn't really. It's not very often you see him kind of kicking around vocal ideas right off the bat. He likes to, I guess, sit on them a little bit. And when he does have some lyrics that he can put down, he'll do that on his own at his place. And then he'll send us that idea. And, that's the beginning of the song, really.
Mm.
But yeah, this process, this record, it was obviously weird because the writing process took place during COVID.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And let's see, we did our last show New Year's Eve 2019. That was in Philadelphia. And we were supposed to go to Australia in March of 2020.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
right, lockdown.
Though that was something that just kept getting it never really got postponed or canceled, I should say, until the very last minute. But we were debating all of February and the beginning of March of what do we do?
Mm-hmm.
Because we actually knew people that were stuck in other countries, that couldn't get back home. That was a situation we definitely wanted to avoid.
Yeah.
So thankfully, in the end, it really wasn't our decision. And the festivals that we had lined up in Australia were canceled, as they should have been. And we just sat on our butts for a while. And we got together as often as we could and tried to write stuff, but it was tough. I just don't think we were really in the right place mentally to write the kind of stuff that we wanted the album to be. And truth be told, we spent all of 2020 writing, and I mean, we wrote a lot. And if there may be one or two riffs that actually made it to what became Sunrise on Slaughter Beach. Yeah, it really wasn't until we started doing these online concerts.
Yeah.
And that really kind of picked up our spirits a lot. And by the time 2021 rolled around, we were in a much better headspace and actually writing songs that just made us feel good. And so we started the whole writing process and made a decision pretty early on that we wanted to work with Tom Dalgety, the producer. And luckily, he was already working on a couple of other projects that were stateside here in the U.S. And so he was he was in 2021. He was spending a fair amount of time in the U.S. working with us and a couple of other bands, doing pre-production. And that's something that we got into, I'd say, I guess it was really, honestly, around 2004 with Blast Tyrant. When we hooked up with producer Machine.
Oh yeah.
He is a heavy like pre-production guy, to the point where, like, when you actually go into his studio to record a record, you've actually already recorded the record once. And when you get into his studio, you're playing along to that first recording. It's a weird process. It works, for him, and we were able to make it work for ourselves most of the time too. But yeah, so we're comfortable these days working with a producer in the pre-production capacity. So Tom would come by every couple of months. He would hang out for a couple of days where we are in Maryland, and we would just play him everything that we had. And he would give us his thoughts on everything that he heard, and we would kick around those ideas. He would take off, and we would spend another couple of months writing, and then do it again, with him coming in. And that went pretty quickly. But we weren't in a big rush because we weren't doing anything else at the time other than those internet streams. So we did have a lot of time to kind of dig into this album, and we knew we wanted to try different things, but we also wanted to be conservative on the album length.
Yeah.
Because Book of Bad Decisions, I love that record. I love all the songs on it, but I don't think it served the record entirely to put every single thing that we recorded on it. I don't know. I go back and forth on that. Right now, I would say, like, if you asked me today, would you reconsider putting 15 songs on that record? I would say, yeah. Maybe only doing 12 would have been better, because I'm always reminded of, like, what it was like when I was growing up and you bought a record, and you were automatically limited to how long a record was, because unless the label was willing to fork out the dough for a double LP, you were always going to get 45 minutes of music, or less, if you bought a Circle Jerks album. And with the advent of CDs, that changed, and at that point, everybody was like throwing, bonus tracks and hidden tracks and whatnot. I don't know. Sometimes, it might have gotten a little out of hand. I think, sometimes, 30 to 45 minutes, that is an ideal album length for the most part. And, we try to stick to that model as close as we could. And this one, it's shortest album to date for us, 9 songs. But I think within those 9 songs, you get a lot of variety.
Oh, yeah.
And, it definitely, touched all the bases that we were trying to accomplish. And I like it because when the thing's done, like, shit, I'll listen to that again, right now.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's literally what we said in our review. It's like, when it finishes, you just spin it straight away, like, again.
Yeah,
It's so Moorish just to hit play again on it.
Yeah, that's kind of what we wanted.
Would you say then, like, in terms of how much is the kind of live touring and by kind of proxy the online streaming. How much of that fuels your guys' like motivation into another album? Like, have you ever really as a band given yourself that much time in between coming off a touring cycle and then reconvening as a band, or has it always been kind of right, we'll give ourselves a month and then we'll see who's got some ideas and we'll get back in the room together?
Yeah, well, that's another thing about this record, is that we didn't really have an opportunity to try these songs out in front of an audience before we recorded, which is something we normally do.
Yeah.
We like to do that. It's nice because you play differently, at least we do. We play differently as a band in our studio rehearsal space than we do when we're up on stage. It's a different energy. And if you can play the new stuff on that live stage, and tap into that different energy, it does have an effect on the song, and it can change how the song ends up getting recorded. But we didn't have that opportunity on this last one. But yeah, we like to do that. So it is, for the most part, when we're writing, it's kind of a constant process. Even though we just put this record out, we're writing, or at least we're thinking about, what we want to do for the next album. And we'll start kicking around ideas when we get back home from the tour that we do in November. And normally there is kind of we build in one part of the year where we're home for at least 2 or 3 months. And that will be kind of like the time that we hyper focus on writing.
Nice. Talking about touring, obviously your UK tour kicks off in November, which I think starts in Glasgow actually on the 11th of November. You're taking Green Lung on tour with you, who are one of our absolute favourites here at Metal Epidemic.
Yeah, love Green Lung.
Love that band.
Yeah, old school riffs.
Yeah,
yeah, for
very
days.
much so. What can fans expect? Is it difficult to pick a set list with such a huge kind of back catalogue?
Yeah, we did have issues with that. Years ago, probably 10 years ago, we got to the point where we had to come up with a whole new system of writing our set lists. Because we had been doing it as a group, and I don't know, something about that kind of lent itself to kind of playing it safe and kind of playing generally the same set list night after night. And that got really boring quick. And like you said, we have such a large catalog of songs. It's easy for a lot of those songs to just not get represented. So we came up with a system where we take turns writing the set.
Oh, okay.
And another part of our business that sounds funny when I say it out loud, but we do it in alphabetical order by name, first name. So I do the first night, starting with D, and then it goes on to John Paul, then Neil, then Tim. And then it comes back to me.
Yeah.
Right. Okay.
And there are no rules, other than, the length. This last tour, we were doing 20 songs a night. Sometimes when you play festivals, you get limited, and that's how you end up with your 7-song set list. But so nothing's off the table, and I try to give the set list to the guys at least a couple hours before the show, so that if there's something on it that we haven't played in a while, they can listen to it and go over it. And if something's, really kind of like, well, we haven't done this in, 5, 6 years, then we'll go over it in the dressing room.
Mm-hmm.
But honestly, at this point, if I listen to a song on my headphones, 2 times, I think I can get through it.
Yeah.
And, mistakes will happen here and there, and that's just part of the live experience. But yeah, we ended up, I think we're doing 20 songs a night on this last tour, and I think Neil tallied up like the actual individual songs, and it was like close to 80 different songs.
Fuck's sake.
Wow.
It was somewhere between 60 and 80, I think.
Wow.
But that makes it more exciting for us, and it definitely makes it more exciting for the fans.
Yeah.
The people coming to these shows, and especially in the UK,
Yeah.
where some of these clubs are so close together that it is realistic to think that some people are going to be going to more than one show, and it's nice to think that these people are going to get 2 different shows if they go to 2 different clubs.
Yeah. It's literally what Nine Inch Nails have just done when they toured over here. I think Trent Reznor, like, he did like a mini tour in the summer, and then a couple of like big massive like shows, and he changed his set every single night. And I had friends that toured with it, and out with the the kind of standout 5 songs that he plays every single one, the remaining 15 songs every single night was different. So that's kind of cool. That does tap into, like, if you have the opportunity to do that, why would you not do that?
Yeah, and it makes it fun for us, because if you are playing, especially if you're playing the same songs in the same order, it only takes a couple of nights before you find your mind drifting.
Yeah.
And suddenly you don't even know what's happening, and that's when the show really gets affected. So it's great for us because it keeps us thinking about things, and one of the advantages is that we're not tied into how we play the songs. Every night. We'll sometimes expand sections of songs. We'll say, why don't we jam the end of this song, and when we get to the end, John Paul can do a little bit of a fill or something, and then use that as a segue to go into the next song. Things like that that make the show a little bit, of a just more of an event, and it's a hell of a lot of fun.
Oh, hell yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I've seen you 3 times live, and it's one of those, you're buzzing when you come out of it. It's great. I think we have kept you. I know you've probably got a diary full of people to talk to today, so thank you very much for spending time with us.
Yeah, thanks very much,
me, guys.
Appreciate it. Yeah, Sunrise and Slaughter Beach is out now. Check it out. And these guys are just about to kick off their UK tour on the 11th of November in Glasgow. Go and see them. Duncan and I said we've seen them already. Such a good night. You don't want to miss it. Dan, thank you very much. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you. Bye.
See you out there.
Yet here I am still